Here, guys, we are on week 3 of the Duckling Derby. I am super excited about it, guys. I am here with Sir Linkalot. Sir Linkalot, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. How about yourself, Gregley?
I am doing pretty awesome. That is correct. I am Gregley Puff, the Duckling Don, as they like to call me around there. We're on race 3. Like I said, this week our gimmick is going to be entrance and floor shuffle. So you want to go kind of over that, since these are kind of your flags, Sir Linkalot?
Yeah, I mean, the main thing is, like, all of the entrances are going to be shuffled, and not just the entrances, but the floors are going to be shuffled as well. So we could enter Canaria Castle, end up on, like, the second floor of Mirage Tower, go through the staircase there, and then end up in the Earth Cave somewhere. But it's going to be all sorts of kind of craziness when it comes to that. Main objective is still going to be to defeat Chaos. We still have to light the 4 orbs to be able to get to the Temple of Fiends, which is just any random entrance. That is one entrance you are not going to find deep into a dungeon or anything like that. It will be right on the overworld, just like it would be in the vanilla game, but not necessarily at the Temple of Fiends entrance itself.
Yeah, and one of the main things too with this particular type of flag set is you may not need your standard go mode items. You obviously are going to need the loot and the key in order to get into, get through Topher, but the other normal key items that you would need, the rod, the loot, the rod, the chime, the cube, and the Oxio, we may not even need where the fiends end up spawning with this entrance and floor action. So, what do you think of these parties? First off, we've got a couple of black belt strats and a couple of fighter strats, and no two parties are the same.
Yeah, it's interesting because this is the third week in a row there has not been a duplicate party between the 4 runners that are on the restream that I'm doing commentary on. I like all of the parties. The one party that I'm a little concerned about potentially is Rock Solid's party with no white mage. If we see early exit and it's red mage learnable, it's not a big deal, but exit is kind of one of those spells in floor entrance shuffle that is extremely critical and you do not want to be locked out of. Because if you are, some of these dungeons, they might end up being 5, 6, 7 floors deep, and then you got to walk out.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than like you said, you go through 2 splits, you get down to Sarda's got the floater, but then you got to walk that floater out of there because unfortunately you don't have exit or warp. So, and there's no guarantee that we will have it. Warp or exit can land anywhere. But yeah, I agree with you. The red mage is kind of a risk. But again, like you said, if exit or warp ends up being red mage learnable, then he could have a distinct advantage. Having 3 black casters. The party I probably like is, Nightmare Phoenix has the Black Belt Oreo party. I'm a big fan of that one.
The only reason I don't like black belts on a floor entrance shuffle is you have to find a grind somewhere. And that grind the good grinds might not be safe grinds. Again, they might be one of those, deep dungeon grinds where, you could technically do a 2-man grind. Keep your white mage up so you can exit when you're done, but then the grind does take twice as long when that happens.
No, I agree with you. And that is always, again, another risk that you have to do is, you'll find Hall of Giants 20 floors deep, and, that's where your grind will be, but then you have to walk that grind out of there. But we'll see. The XP is pretty good. The encounter rate's low enough to make the entrance diving not too terribly scary, and off we are. Look at this. Everyone goes into the city, and we got Topher hanging out in Castle Canaria, so at least we know where the end of the game is going to be.
Yeah, that's a nice place for it to be, and we've got Lit 3 and Cake for some kind of sweepers or instant kills. As far as white magic, I believe the only really major thing I saw was Invis 2, but right now it's locked out until we have promotion for the red mages.
But still not too bad. Probably take down Garland, get some extra EXP. Looks like we got some chest checking. So that's going to be the big difference between the fighter comps and the black belt comps. I imagine the black belt comps aren't going to be checking chests at all, whereas the fighter comps are going to be at least looking for some gear.
Yeah, the scaling on the bosses isn't really terrible. It's if I remember right, it's 50 to 150 for stats and 50 to 200 for HP. So chances are bosses are actually going to roll weaker stat-wise than what they would in vanilla, and their HP is going to be, around vanilla, potentially. Obviously, it could roll higher depending on what the seed wants to do, but you get like a 42 black belt, you can probably man most of Topher.
Oh yeah, as long as you don't end up running into a punch happy Kraken with a bunch of evasion. And 1-3 goes on ahead and takes out Garland here. So most of these runners now taking out Garland, obviously hitting those early levels. And then from here, you just got to start checking entrances, right?
Yeah, kind of check the nearby entrances. Maybe even go and check Provoca first. You get that key item off of Vicky plus level 2 spells. That way, if it's one of those fetch quest items that ends up being deep in a dungeon, you already have it. That's kind of the worst feeling. You check Matoya's cave. Matoya ends up being there, but being 4 to 5 floors deep. You go to Provoca just to get the crystal off of Vicky, and just like, oh, cool, back to this dungeon.
Actually, that's really not a bad play. I kind of agree with you there. Maybe save the Topher entrance and the Matoya entrance and all that stuff until you can at least get level 2 magic, see what's going on there. Kill the pirates, get a couple more levels, and then start maybe diving some dungeons and seeing where things go. But looks like everyone's still kind of hanging out in Canary, and finally that free ship getting some use there from Nightmare Phoenix. It looks like he's taking your advice, and he's going to go on ahead and head over to Provoca. No, he's not. He's going over to Matoya's cave to see what that entrance is.
Which isn't necessarily a bad thing, because this could be something simple like a Cardia treasure. It's not like a deep dungeon. In this case, it is some kind of a dungeon at the very least, and we've got a sea floor, so it's like I don't blame him for kind of turning around and be like, I want to save at the very least, or I'm just going to get out for right now.
Got Sky Maze over here on Shad's screen. So got a Sky Maze. We got a dungeon that's at least 2 floors deep that is the floor right before Mermaids, and we're going to see where these 2 dungeons go. Is Rock Solid and Clementitas are going to make the play over to Provoca, so they'll be able to show us what level 2 magic spells are here in just a second. I like the Rock Solid went straight for the pirates. I think that's always a good play, especially without buff pirates and without scary pirates. Just go on ahead, 3 at them, and you should be good to go. Get that extra money so you can afford everything here. And already level 5 on Rock Solid, and we've got a canal, so that opens up pretty much the rest of the world that you can't get to, or that you can get to by boat. And there's a key. Wow.
That's actually a pretty expensive key, and potentially, Rock Solid would be the kind of the best one to be able to do this right now. But having that seafloor available, you get a lot of monsters that are weak to lightning. You have 3 lightning 3 casters. You could go in there, not only get some safety levels, which is really important for entrance floor shuffle, you could easily get that 22,000 gold to get that key early. Yeah,
absolutely. And we got that heal 3 there. So heal 3 is good, especially for the white mages and red mages. And then Brack, the best one we got here, Lock and Lock 2 are good for lowering evasion on Fiends, but it's not going to be quite as necessary with the one that we have right now. But Brack definitely going to be good. If we find Kraken's floor or TS floor, we can go on ahead and get a quick Fiend kill out of the way.
Especially if it's shallow, like the first or second floor. Just, the cheeky, hey, I'm only level 5, but I have cast of Brack. That's all I need is one of those to work.
Yeah, and I'm kind of agreeing with you here. Maybe hit that lit 3. You got the lit 3 casters. You got that sea floor. You could probably take down some things, get the money to pick up the key, and then those black belt runners can check October and see if there's a potential grind tile. But it looks like Shad did make it down, and unfortunately, it's just marsh bottom, so he's going to walk out of there. So Topher, a complete kind of dud as far as where the end ended up being.
Yeah, it's one of those entrances you can kind of just mark off at this point. Be like, okay, I'm done. Don't need to touch this anymore. So it's like nice little areas just marked off the map now.
Yep, and we've seen Titan's Trove, and there's Nuke and Warp, so big pickups there, and that's going to be really good information for Rock Solid when he makes his way down to Elfland, because he's going to have 3 nuke casters and 3 warp casters, so he's going to be able to nuke his way through things and then be able to warp his way out of places.
Yeah, the only part that stinks about that is your best sweeper spell is also the way you get out of a dungeon, so you kind of have to manage your charges with realize how deep you are on floors, and not just start spending nuke charges. It's like, oh, I need to get out now, and I have no more charges.
A big unfortunate thing, though, for Rock Solid is that Life 2 is White Mage only, and Exit is Red Mage, but it shares the same slot as Warp. So it's like you got Nuke, Exit, and Warp all on one slot. Like you said, you're sharing a bunch of magic, a bunch of really good magic on one thing. And unfortunately, like I said, for Rock Solid, he's not going to have access to that Life 2.
Which isn't the worst thing, because, you know, running the Black Belt party, you're more, like I said, it's kind of tougher where you're worried about losing a member deep in, but as long as it's not your Black Belt, you're typically safe at that point with what the clamps and scaling is set at. It's not terrible that Exit landed on the same one as Nuke, because you only need one charge of Exit to get out of a dungeon compared to, you know, X amount of charges of Warp, depending how deep the dungeon is.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so right now, Rock Solid just kind of clearing this floor. He's probably going to be the best as far as getting that money together for the key. And everyone's just kind of all over the place right now, just checking some floors. We got Carrie here on Clementitas' side. Nightmare Phoenix is heading that way as well. So that's Northwest Castle. So that's one fiend we've seen up here at the bottom of Northwest Castle. Which
also, if you're wondering, hey, normally that's a potential incentive chest. The main things that are not incentivized on this flag set are Volcano, Sea Shrine, and the Marsh Block chests.
Yeah, so we're looking for Marsh Bottom, we're looking for, you know, Vampire Room, and we're looking for that Sky 2 floor, the Spider Room, as far as our incentive locations are concerned. Obviously, we've got Titan Shrove already, but we need the Ruby in order to check that incentive item. And we need Canaria Castle so that we can obviously talk to the King and Sarah, but also check the Locked Canaria. So let's talk about a couple things. Kind of breeze through it a little bit. We know we're doing the Duckling Derby, but what exactly does that mean?
So the Duckling Derby it's basically kind of a small little mini tournament for the newer players, or just kind of the less experienced players potentially. Some of the Ducklings, they have been around for, you know, longer than other ones, but it's geared towards them. So like veterans, you know, if you've been champion of other tournaments, even if you were a Duckling before, things like that, you wouldn't be able to participate. And we kind of do this to not only that, you know, before this happened, we had 8 weeks of a Duckling boot camp where we basically trained all the Ducklings, showed them how kind of the vets run it, give them experience and things like that, and then they kind of get to showcase it. And whoever wins this ends up getting the title of the Duckling Supreme until the next Duckling Derby.
Yeah, I mean, last time, you know, we crowned a Duckling Supreme, and it's kind of, I'm kind of drawing a blank here. Do you remember who that person was that won the Duckling Derby last time?
I might know him. It's possible I know him. It might have been me, but yeah.
Yeah.
It was a crazy tournament because it's like I just joined the community literally the day before the Duckling Boot Camp started, and it's like I'm not going to be able to, you know, hang with the top Ducklings or anything like that. And it got to like week 2, like okay, week 3 happened. I ended up winning the race. I'm like, wow, I could actually pull this off somehow.
Yeah, so, and then we like to do the Duckling kind of, I wouldn't say, it's not for anything, it's just kind of like a fun little Duckling off. I imagine you will take on whoever the winner of this particular Duckling Derby at some point in time.
That is the plan. So I know next week, Monday is the last race of the Duck Derby, so we'll know who the next Duckling Supreme is. But yeah, I'm fully intending on whoever wins it for us to kind of get together, get a nice little exhibition race scheduled for everybody. That's normally, I know the last one, I don't know about the one before me, but I know the one that I was a part of was Restream, so I'm sure we'll probably try to get that on Restream.
Yeah. All right, so looks like everybody's kind of doing all the same things. Finally, we've got Castle Canaria on Clementitas' side. It looks like he was at that appeared to be the Titan location, and he picks up a canoe and a rod. So again, we don't know if the rod is required yet, but that canoe is more than likely required because that opens up a lot of the game as well. looks like Rock Solid's going to go for carry. He does have 3 nuke casters, so he's hoping that he can just nuke her down, and does. So Rock Solid going to go on ahead and light up his first orb at just over 11 minutes.
Yeah, I like that idea. The fact that, you have nuke casters. When you have 50 to 200% HP, carry has at most 1200 HP. Chances are 6 nukes are getting through that, unless carry had some nasty sweeper that just, wiped your party on turn 1, but, swung and destroyed the black bolt, which was kind of the best thing to happen to you.
Yeah, and I was wrong. Clementitas actually checked Dwarf. That's where we found Canaria Castle. So it was actually, right next to Canaria Castle. So these guys get a These guys pick up that ahead and check those free boxes in there, and obviously get that incentive item that's located in there. Now we know that the canoe is there. We need a floater so that we can get in the air and really start exploring the world.
Yeah, and the big thing the floater does, not only do we get to move a lot faster, it gives you access to a lot of entrances in that, like the Cardia Islands to be the main one. 2 of them don't mean anything because we didn't shuffle dead ends. So the top hole in the double Cardia Island doesn't have anything in the tiny island. Also, it's just going to be the normal dead end, but it's still 4 entrances.
Yeah. It looks like Clementitas getting kind of beat up by this air pack he's trying to take down and get some levels on that black mage, and takes a wipe there. Not exactly too sure where he was located. I don't know if he was in Topher on that sky floor, that sky maze floor.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I didn't see exactly what entrance that was either, but yeah, airs are kind of one of those things. Like, typically, I feel like they're not worth the time, because it's like when they roll low, you just don't realize it, but usually how much effort you have to put into killing them isn't worth how much experience you're getting from them.
Yeah, Rock Solid over here in Sharknado. With the black bot, he's going to probably show us all 4 of the grind tiles in this room. And just again, more exploration, everybody. Surprised nobody's made the trip over to Crescent yet, considering that is a key item as well.
I have a feeling we're going to be seeing that soon, because Clementitas only has this entrance right here. Check Titan's Tunnel East, which was actually vanilla, and this entrance we're done as well. It's just a Cardia treasure. Yep.
And I think as of now, Clement person that's been to that dwarf cave and found Canaria Castle, so he's the only one. Yeah, based on our tracking notes. Nope, Chad's been there too. So 2 of our runners have been there to pick up their canoe. So they're the only ones that can either go to Ordeal's entrance, Ice Cave, or Volcano entrance if the bust. Oh, and the waterfall. That exists as well with the northern docks turned on.
Yeah, and I think part of that, it kind of looks like they're not taking as many encounters. They're just kind of running from everything, whereas you kind of see Rock Solid and Nightmare Phoenix. They're taking more kind of decent encounters. Kind of, we talked about a little bit, like safety levels, because, you go into an entrance, you don't know what you're going to get into. So it's not like, vanilla, or if the entrances are just what they normally are. You enter Earth Cave, you're getting Earth Cave monsters. You enter Earth Cave here, you could end up in Sky, and you don't really want to find yourself on a Sky floor at level 5. I mean, you might get lucky with turn order, and you're fine, but you also might not get lucky on turn order and start getting one shot.
And Chad picks up the cube, so we know for a fact, as of now, either the key is going to lead to our progression out of Canaria Castle, or our progression is going to be in either Volcano, Ice Cave, Waterfall entrance, or Ordeal's entrance. We don't know yet. Question in chat out of Dark O Beat: how are we keeping track of all these runners? I don't know. How do you do it, Blink? How are we making it happen?
Experience.
Yeah. We've called a few races, at least I have. Final Fantasy Randomizer is like my main race that I call, pretty much. So I'm kind of used to looking at all this craziness here. And Lord Fizzlebeef right, and the googly eyes help.
I'm trying to think what movie, I forget what movie it is. Maybe it's I want to say Waterboy, the guy's got the eyes that look two different ways. Most of the time, it's like that. That's what our eyes look like all the time. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. So Rock Solid going down that marsh path that leads to Sky 3, still trying to kind of make his way, get himself out of this inner sea area, where Shad goes to Volcano, and we've got another incentive location in Ordeal. So this could be our potential way of finding that floater that we need.
Yeah, and having those warp charges, it shouldn't be too bad to get through the maze. We'll see.
Yeah, so in the vanilla game, you don't have access to warp when you're going through ordeals, but it doesn't really matter because everyone kind of knows the pillar maze in vanilla. In the randomizer, we randomize the pillars, so you don't know the order of the pillars. So having the warp charges and being able to warp back to the previous pillar makes ordeals a much quicker dive. And it looks like at the bottom of Marsh finally made it down there, and it is Matoya's cave. So if we see the crystal, that's another kind of way we can find our progression. Shad does make short work of ordeals, so we're going to see what the spike tile is here in a second. Got to get through these zombie Ds first.
Depending on how they rolled, that's not a terrible tile, but they rolled over 200 health, and they're kind of hitting that fighter pretty hard. I don't know how much armor the fighter currently has, but
he's got life 2 on that white mage. He should be okay.
Yeah, I mean, they're dead.
Big should.
So one thing to note, I'm not sure if maybe Shad just didn't have the money, because I saw he's got warp on one of the black mages, but neither one of those black mages is holding nuke.
Yeah, I think it was pretty expensive. It was like 1,000 for both of them.
Yeah.
Because I noticed he doesn't have life 2 either on the white mage. It was a pretty stacked level.
Oh, it definitely was. It's just kind of one of those things to keep in mind. It's a really strong sweeper that right now he doesn't have access to. So he might find himself in a situation, or, potentially find Kraken or like Lich or something like that, where your current spells aren't really going to cut it. And nuke would be a lot more helpful.
Clementina's heading his way into Crescent, gonna get his cube out of here, and it looks like Shad picks up the ruby, which we've seen both entrances for Titan's Trove. We know that one of them is at Elfland Castle, which isn't too far away from Volcano, so he should be able to make that trip here pretty soon. Rock Solid finally making it to Castle area. Gonna talk to the royalty, get his canoe and slab, is that correct? No, rod, sorry. And gonna check his cash now. Still, man, cash has just not been coming along for these runners, because they still are nowhere near being able to afford that $22,000 key out of Provoca.
Yeah, and I would almost like to see Shad go back to Elfland Castle for that Titan's Tunnel entrance, because he has, it's not a lot of money right now, but it's enough money to buy those level 3 and level 4 spells that you're missing, and they're critical spells right now as well.
Yeah, I don't see a situation in which he doesn't head back that way. Oh, except for right now, because I said it.
Yep. Which isn't necessarily a bad idea. It's like, we're going to do the Ice Cave play as well. The river system is not very friendly. I believe those were created with Blizzard.
Oof. Reeves with Blizzard. That means you've got to buy 40 tents and just leave tents all over that river system. Just litter it up.
Especially when your party does not like to run from them.
Yeah, which is unfortunate, because that's why you bring the 2 black mages along, right? So you have a little bit better of a run chance.
I mean, that's why I bring 2 red mages along, because my red mages run. That's just how they work. I don't know.
Nice. I know. Darko beat again, talking about being able to run away from sorcerers. That is definitely the dream, and I definitely prefer seeing sorcerers with stun touch versus having death touch. So looks like he's going to be kind of more on the offense against these Caribs. Looks like their chance to do skills is pretty low, because that was like 4 or 5 Caribs that attacked without doing Blizzard. So that Lit 3 is going to take him down. Looks like he's trying not to save, and I do kind of like this play. So if he makes it to Ice Cave and Ice Cave isn't a place he wants to be, then he can just at least reset back to where he was. and then maybe make the play and head over to Elfland Castle. And finally, Nightmare Phoenix is going to be our last on stream to finally make it to that Canaria Castle and get that canoe and rod. And we got Elfland Castle here. Not very useful.
Yeah, and your idea was great until he decided I'm going to use a house right outside the entrance and now has to go back through the river system.
Yeah, he's got to feel pretty bad. Looks like he's taking some notes right now, though. But yeah, Elfland Castle there, we don't have the herb, we don't have the key, so we can't really do anything with that right now. And now it's a long canoe trip back to Elfland, vanilla Elfland Castle, to turn in that ruby and see if Titan's Trove has what we need. But because that key is in Elfland Castle, because that key is in Provoca for 22,000, I'm assuming the floater's behind that.
I mean, it very well could be, or, who knows? Like, we've got a lot of options right now. We've got the Titan's Tunnel, we've got the key with Canaria, still got a few entrances that we have yet to check. So there's a lot left.
Yeah, we still have the waterfall because we do have the northern docks on. So there's docks below or just south of Onrak and Mirage Tower. Now, we don't have the chime, so we can't check that. But there is a river system that leads to ordeals that you can hit up since we have the canoe. And then, of course, we've got the dock below Onrak. Sail up the waterfall and see what that entrance is. But Chad getting out of here. Gonna get in his boat. Probably a good idea instead of using the river system to get over to Elfland. In case this obviously doesn't pan out the way he needs to, he'll be close to his boat.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing that he could potentially get that would be nice if you just walk over there would be the floater. But if it's anything else, you're gonna be like, I wish I had my boat now. Yeah,
exactly. So yeah,
we say that, see another runner doing the exact opposite.
Yeah.
I'm gonna walk.
Yeah, Clementitas might end up with the herb or the crystal, and then at that point, he's going to wish he had his boat, or it'll be something he doesn't need, like the chime, or something like, and then he'll wish he had his boat. And it's the crown, and we have not seen Northwest Castle, so he's going to have to walk all the way back to his boat. Over on Nightmare Phoenix's side, we have Ice Cave, and what entrance is he in? I feel like we've seen all the entrances. How is he in Ice Cave?
He's got to be on the Northern Hemisphere then.
Yeah.
Which is very possible he went north instead of going to Crescent Lake, which is, it's kind of a bold move, but it's kind of one of those things. It's like, I guess we didn't mention this. We have 31 ducklings in this race. So it's like, if you're trying to get points to kind of push yourself up the rankings, you kind of have to potentially make like unorthodox plays to kind of push yourself there, the plays that nobody else is really going to make.
Yeah, it looks like he's out of warp charges, or he doesn't have warp, or doesn't realize he can do the warp trick here because he's checking tiles. Never mind. That makes sense. So let's see what we got here. This is our first, a black shirt. That's good. And the adamant, which we have not seen, Dwarf Cave. All right, he's exiting now. No, that's Topher. I didn't realize that was at the very bottom of that. Nobody ever made it to the bottom of that Topher entrance.
That's right. Okay.
Huh. I mean, it's not, we don't need it right now, but that could be the play Nightmare Phoenix needs right now, because he's the only person that made it to the bottom of that and has gotten that adamant out of there. So if Dwarf Cave is in a place like Ordeals or Waterfall, and that ends up being the floater, then that's huge for him.
I mean, even if it's not that, if he ends up finding Dwarf Cave before everybody else and it turns into something like, the loot is the other major item we're technically missing right now, or the chime, and then something ends up being at the Mirage location, that's kind of another critical thing, or even potentially something like, let's see what kind of incentive items we have. I'm pretty sure we have a Masa, so, Masa on anybody you're not going to complain about.
No, not at all. And Nightmare Phoenix, his white mage just getting beat up on the river system. Luckily, like I said, that life 2 at level 3, pretty useful there. Is it the eyes? Oh, the eyes have toxic. That's what's been causing the issues.
So we really want to get the airship so we just don't have to deal with any of this anymore.
Yeah. So yeah, Nightmare Phoenix heading over to Crescent, doing the Crescent stuff.
Oh, and if Toxic on the eyes wasn't bad enough, Sahagins have Cremate as well, so...
So the sea is just, like I said, buy all the tents and just Who cares about water anymore? Just litter the sea with tents.
Encounter manipulate your way to safety.
So I noticed something. Looks like Nightmare Phoenix is in Crescent. I saw he had money. He's got like 32,000 gold, so he has plenty of money to pick up that key. Hopefully he remembers that key is in Provoca, just hanging out there.
Yeah, it's like I know it's not just new players that do this, but it's like when you see especially in entrance and floor shuffle, when you see like the vendor item really early on in the seed, you're already worrying about taking notes about everything. Sometimes you just forget to take notes, and then you're just like, I'm missing something. What am I missing? And you start going and checking the shops, and you're like, oh crap, I missed it's like I forgot about the key that I've known about since 5 minutes in.
All right, so wanted to point this out on Clement that he's down in the ordeals. First chest he checks is the white shirt, so we've seen the black shirt as well out of Nightmare Phoenix's screen. So that's the best mage armor in the game for those white wizards and black wizards if we end up promoting whenever we find the tail in Bahamut.
Yeah, gotta find that tail, so we'll see if we stumble upon that, or if we end up in kind of a go mode before, and then you kind of have to make that decision. Am I looking for the tail to promote, or am I just gonna go?
Yeah. Good original, the OP Duckling Derby or Duckling Derby champion, Duckling Supreme there in chat saying notes are slow. I agree. I don't take notes, and then like at the end of the seed, I'm like, where did I see Northwest Castle? I guess I'll check all the entrances and I'll eventually find it.
All right, well,
but Clementitas finds the Sky 2 incentive location. Is this going to be what he needs? Is this going to be the floater? Is this going to be the herb?
Those rock bombs are not flying around. Hopefully this nuke takes him out, because he has one level 3 charge. That red mage does have exit, so I have a feeling it's time to make a beeline right for that chest, and you're exiting immediately.
Save items. But yeah, I mean, is this going to be the herb or the crystal to lead to a fetch quest, or is this going to be straight up the floater? We're about to find out right now. It is the herb. Ugh. And he keeps going. Not going to exit out of here. That is a bold play. You have to get away from this air battle. Keeps diving. Ooh, C-split. That is definitely going to cause him to exit out.
Yeah, I was like, if this is me, I'm exiting at this point. It's like, I understand it's ordeals. It's not where you really want to be, because you got to leave to get everybody back up. But yeah, it's like you don't want to lose all that progress.
No, not at all. Shad's trying to get through this Topher floor here so he can make his way down to Ice Cave and get his adamant. Nightmare Phoenix in ordeals, gonna get his ruby out of here, and Rock Solid also heading towards Ice Cave. So he already got his ruby out. He's gonna get the bad news that Ice Cave is Elfland Castle.
I don't think he's saved though, so he might be able to do kind of that reset trick and just save a bunch of time getting back, because I notice he's just kind of taking the encounters and running.
Yeah, so let's talk about these runners for a second. Rock Solid, I think, is the most veteran of the runners that it's on the screen. I think he joined right before the Duckling camp started, whereas Clementitas, Shad, and Nightmare Phoenix all joined kind of halfway through the boot camp. So these runners have not been playing Final Fantasy Randomizer long, maybe between 4 and 8 weeks. So we're looking at really, really new runners here, and they put themselves out there. They're doing entrance floor shuffle. Man, when I was that new to the community, this was scary stuff, doing entrance floor.
Yeah, I guess I can't talk from a Final Fantasy 1 perspective, because I remember Link to the Past when it's like, hey, you can shuffle all the entrances around. I'm like, I'm never touching that, ever. It's like, too scary. And then I finally did, and I just enjoyed it so much. So when I was just like, this has an entrance floor shuffle, I'm just like, okay, sign me up. Right. Don't care if I'm brand new to it.
All right, so Clementitas finding Waterfall. It looks like it's in the vanilla location. So that's another potentially find floater or whatever he needs. So yeah, I mean, we're getting all these incentives kind of out of the way early. So that means at least once we get in the air, I mean, we're just looking for fiends. You know, we're looking for fiends, we're looking for loot, and you know, potentially that like massa and that ribbon and stuff like that, so that we have a little bit of extra, you know, protection heading into our Topher tonight.
Yeah, I guess one of the other nice things too is, you know, Waterfall is kind of one of those nice mid-level dungeons where the enemies aren't terribly strong, but they usually die pretty quickly, and the experience is fairly good too. So he's going to get some kind of nice levels here while he's clearing it out.
Yeah, especially with the nuke. I mean, you can take anything down with the nuke. The lit threes are going to take down the mummies pretty easily. Nukes will take care of the mud golems and the nightmares. And like you said, I mean, you know, it's not Sky Cave level of experience, but it's good experience and it's easy to get.
And the best thing is that it's usually really safe, whereas the encounters in Sky range from really easy to nightmares. And in here, there's really nothing that's incredibly scary, especially if you have a couple new casters. You know, I think the scariest thing in here that you could possibly find is a green dragon.
Yeah. All right, so Shad's our first person to get the key, and it is the floater. It's been there the whole time. It has literally been there since the beginning of the game. Shad finally getting the money, able to get his floater, and he's got to be thinking to himself, holy moly, it's been there this whole time. I probably way behind, not knowing that everyone else is doing the exact same thing.
Yeah, at least on the restream, but it's kind of one of those things when the money was that, I guess, kind of tight at the beginning, like, you know, going into those sky floors, going into those sea floors to get the money would have been a gamble, because it very well could have been key turned into the defense sword or a ribbon, which are nice items to have, but they're not kind of pushing you towards anything. I mean, even something like you could have done like a pop grind potentially with the, you know, the nuke that you had at level 3, but.
So it looks like Clementitis gets the Oxiel out of Waterfall, which was at Vanilla Waterfall, and he's right next to Anrak, so he's got a dungeon deck, which leads us to Sarda. So let's see what this is. So another key item that we're picking up here, and it is the bottle. So that you obviously need the floater in order to turn the bottle in. Shad making a beeline towards the Ryukhan Desert so he can be up in the air. And everybody else just kind of still trying to put those pieces together. We know right now that you have to buy that key out of Provoca. And you have to go to Canaria Castle, which is in Dwarf Cave, in order to get in the air.
Yeah, it almost feels like that's what Clementitis is kind of thinking about right now. Having all those kind of extra key items is, you know, we've got the herb that might be kind of his first thing, but you're really close to Provoca when you turn that in.
And these Caribs giving him the business again. Nightmare Phoenix clearing out this Mikoyas cave, this floor that with the black belt, there's no way in the history of ever I would clear out. Just because all the chests are so far away from one another.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those like arguments when you're like talking between black belts and knights or, you know, fighters. Black belts, you kind of trade the fact that you can't use any powerful equipment for once you get to a certain level, you just become a walking death machine, whereas the fighter needs that equipment. So you trade in the time that you have to do to check boxes for your fighter to get that equipment for, I just need to spend the time to get my black belt to that point.
All right, so we got the herb is going to turn into the defense sword, so that at least stops that chain. He doesn't even want that defense sword. I like that play, heads up play there. Unfortunately, it looks like he's going to Provoca. He remembered. All right, this is good. This is good news for him.
I'm guessing he'll keep the defense sword in mind just because of the fact it is a very powerful defensive item later in the game. It's kind of one of those things that helps that like black belt man mode in case the worst happens and you have to solo Topher. You get a couple stacks of defense off, chances are nothing's hitting you, and then you just got to worry about like non-elemental nukes, nuclears, things of that nature.
Over on Rock Solid's side, 84, he just picked up a loose ribbon, Coral Sword Earth 2, which I think Clementitas walked right by. So that's at least, one ribbon that we have. We know there's an incentive ribbon out there as well. So that's pretty awesome. Good pickup on Rock Solid side.
We might see Clementitas come back and get that because he's in the Ordeals location where when Clementitas got to that point, he had no life caster. He was down to 2 members, so he's probably just skipping everything to basically try to get as deep into the dungeon as you can get for exploration before potentially wiping. And it was the C-split, so there's still 2 ways out. So he's going to walk right by those rooms again. It wouldn't surprise me for him to check those boxes. They're not too far out of the way. It's 3 boxes. And in this case, if you do it, it pays off well.
Yeah. Nightmare Phoenix heading back to Provoca to pick up his key, it looks like. And the only person that needs the key right now is Rock Solid, and he's down in the Ordeals dungeon, which we know at least leads to a C-split. So we know we're going to have a long-ish dungeon, and he's getting rocked by these rock golems.
Yeah, I was like ambushed by the rock golems. Like you're probably losing one of your characters, if not 2 of them. So I don't really blame him for doing a reset out there.
Yeah. Shad diving this deep dungeon that I know leads to Matoya's cave. So he's going to be pretty let down once he finally gets to the bottom of this thing. Which I think he must have gotten bounced out of a while ago because I know he was in there. But it was deep, and you had to go through I want to say at least 5 or 6 floors, and they're not the safest floors either.
Yeah, a lot of things I think had spell scripts. We saw rub from the guards there. And you get to Mirage 2, that's a floor you have to spend a decent amount of time walking to get off of it. And the encounters on Mirage 2 are no joke when you're at level 3, 4, 5.
All right, so we got a Vorpal -3 out of these chests here. Vorpal, of course, has that amazing crit rate, but with the -3, that kind of hurts it a little bit. And Clementitas is going to finally take down Carrie here. May as well in the area.
Yeah, the loss of crit on the Vorpal, it does hurt, but it's still a lot better than most weapons. Get a couple tempers, it still has a fairly high crit rate, and it's going to do as much damage as the other ones with a couple temper, if you get a power bonk.
All right, so looks like Rock Solid. Well, he has the crown, I think, right?
Yes, he does. So we're gonna see.
That looked like, I didn't see what it was, but it was either the ribbon or the masa, because it didn't show the key item text.
Yeah, I was like, it didn't stay up for very long, and he's looking. It wasn't the masa, so that looks like it was there's a second ribbon.
So yeah, this is in the Ordeals dungeon. I didn't see which direction he went on that C split. Either went left or right, obviously.
We'll probably find out when we get a warp. Oh no, we're gonna just exit out. Okay.
Yeah, I guess he wants to save and doesn't feel safe diving down or take Astus on again, which makes sense because you don't know how much deeper the other side of the C split's going to be.
Well, not to mention those ribbons make the dive that much safer. You don't have to worry about a lot of, sweepers. You don't have to worry about a lot of instant kills on 2 of your characters, things like that. So I don't blame her for wanting to just kind of keep that.
So we're going to find out here in just a moment on Nightmare Phoenix's side, because he just made it down to that C split. If he can get past the scorching Arsa hags, we'll see which way he decides to go, and we'll figure out where Astus was and where the other side of this progression is. Now the good thing. Sorry, go on ahead.
I was gonna say we're gonna want to keep an eye on Clementitas because he's actually in Gaia, so we're about to actually see a new incentive location we have yet to see because nobody else has that bottle yet.
Yeah. So he must have. Yeah, because he was able to finally do the key, get the whole thing figured out, and air along with Shad. But yeah, these Arsa hags are giving Nightmare the business. And we've got the sitar, so that is required. That bottle, that big old chain of herb out of here, into Elfland Castle, into the bottle, into Gaia. That is a lot going on for our necessary go mode item.
Yeah, I think you're going to be happy to see that, though, because now you're in the... I just need to light my other 3 orbs. I need to find the other 3 fiends. The greatest part is you already have the rod in the cube as well, and means you're never going to find a dungeon that you're completely locked out of. The only dungeon we can't get into right now is Mirage Tower.
Ooh, spicy Spike Towel over here on Nightmare Phoenix has said he had the key, so he was actually able to check these Spike Tiles in Northwest Locked. It looks like the Whiz Vampires have no health, so unfortunately, this is that situation where this floor would be better if it was a ground floor as opposed to, 3 or 4 floors deep.
It's definitely worth some levels right now. Maybe I wouldn't be surprised to see him check the other Spike Tile maybe after doing a little bit of healing.
Yeah. So Clementitas doing the business, checking these cardias. Got mermaids. Sorry, I didn't mean to just chat right over you there, but looks like he found Bahamut on Grassy. Now he's in Mermaids, which is that double bottom hole. And then at this point, he really doesn't have that many other places he can check for fiends, because that's what he's in right now. He's in fiend mode.
Yeah, it almost wouldn't be surprising to see one on Chad's side. We found the rod block. Don't believe we've seen what's below that just yet.
Yeah, and Rock Solid's still diving that left side of Split and Ordeals, and he has found the Hall of Giants floor. Just checking these Spike Tiles, obviously, because of that Black Bolt that he has in his party. And it looks like we're going to see what this incentive is, and we do have the rods. You got the crystal, which we've seen Matoya's. That's at the bottom of Marsh Cave.
The big problem, Chad has to get out of this dungeon now. He only has his fighter left.
That's cube locked, which he has the cube as well. So is this double locked is more than likely going to lead to a fiend of some kind, because we've only seen one fiend and there aren't that many dungeons.
Yeah, and Swamp was Dwarf Cave. I'm not sure if you saw that. So we know we've got the Adamant turning. Granted, we know it's not a required item, potentially, unless it's the Chime, but that could very well be where Amasa's hanging around as well.
Or where one of the other fiends are. And it looks like, speaking of fiends, Rock Solid, at the very end of this long split, he has found Lich. So we know Lich is in Ordeals on the left side of the C-split.
That's pretty big, considering we've seen other runners kind of come here and, circumstances force them to leave. The fact that he came back and is going to get this orblet before anybody else.
Yeah, and actually he's going to have a 2-orb, he's going to have 2 orbs lit, whereas Clementitas and Shad have only killed Carrie so far. So, yeah, these guys are going to have to make their way back to Ordeals at some point. And Clementitas finding the other split, the Marsh split, and that looked like that was in Cardia Grass or Woods.
There was a nice weapon. I don't think we've actually seen anybody clear Sky 2, just the incentive chest, but we did have in the upper left room, we had an X-Cow +2.
Yeah, I'm kind of like having a hard time keeping track of where everybody is, but Chad's found Kraken. And is he also in Cardio Woods? Where is he? No. He found Rodlock.
I feel like he's got to be in one of the Cardias, because everywhere, unless he's in, I guess, Starter or Titans West.
Oh yeah, that's right. Those are places you can't get to. And looks like he's going to try to do the best he can do with this Light Axe versus Kraken with this solo fighter. I mean, you may as well YOLO it.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, Kraken 1, not necessarily known to punch very hard on occasions, but on other occasions can, definitely punch. We've got the Zeus Gauntlet as well, so if the Light Axe isn't going to do anything, maybe just use some Lightning 2. Never mind, we're going to equip the Silver Helmet to get that defense up.
Well,
we've got a Thor Hammer, so.
Yeah. And he can't equip the Vorpal that he found, so he's gonna have to do this man mode. What he really needs from Kraken is like a goofy skills list, like he doesn't need to see that. Okay, Fire 2 good.
Yeah, 9 hits for 180. Oh, and we found Tiamat, so Chime's definitely not required.
Yep. So we have found all the fiends. And yeah, he's not doing a lot. And Kraken's going to take down Shad here. Shad is in that dungeon that you said he was in Sardis Cave. So yeah, we're in Fiend, like not even Fiend, but we're in like, basically we've seen all the Fiends. We don't need to really see anything else. These runners would probably like to get the Masa. Somebody like Rock Solid or Nightmare Phoenix that's running these black belt strats needs to find a grind tile, and specifically needs to get in the air.
Yeah, this would be something where it's like if you haven't found a good like shallow grind tile, checking like desert for an overworld, even checking like if you've got one of the sky floors on the first level of a dungeon, checking to see what the first encounter is off of a hard reset if it's not too far of a walk. Because if it's something like, an eye or something that's really easy to kill, that would be kind of what you want to start doing at this point. But yeah, because like the Masa's not really important for Nightmare Phoenix or Roxal. That's more of a thing for Clementitas and Shad. With running that fighter, we still don't know where the tail is. So Masa's still kind of that best weapon that we hopefully are going to be swinging because, if I'm not mistaken, we have yet to even see Fast or Temper as well.
Fast was level 6. I saw it. It was in the it was level 6 somewhere. But let's go ahead and look at Clementitas' screen up here. He's going to probably go for Brack strats, which makes sense. Brack is level 2. He does have the Bane Sword. Kind of shocked he didn't throw that out there as well. But let's see what happens here. Is Brack is going to bounce off of Tia the first time around, and I was wrong about where the bottle was located. The bottle came out of the Oxiel out of Waterfall to Sarda, which leads to the bottle, and then you got to get in the air, which leads to the loot. So a lot going on there. I forgot that the herb had turned into the defense sword, but hopefully these runners remember that, the ones that found it. More Bracks bouncing off of Tia here as White Shirt comes out. Tia doing things that I think Shad wished Kraken was doing, throwing out darks and all kinds of other that aren't really doing anything. Another Brack cast effective. That Black Mage goes down, so he's down to just one Brack caster now. He really needs to go on ahead and start throwing that Bane Sword out there. It's on that White Mage. He's got infinite casts of it. Another Brack bounces off of Tia.
I think potentially what Clementitas is worried about more right now is taking the Wipe Souls while getting his defenses up. I guess we'll see. Getting defenses up so in case something terrible does happen, you get down to that solo White Mage, you start using the Bane Sword. But in the meantime, start doing Bracks and see if you can get that to land.
Yeah. And finally, the last Brack comes out there. We've got an air orb lit over on Clementitas' side. On Shad's side, down in the bottom right-hand corner, he is back on Kraken's floor, and he is in much better situation with all of his party members. And by all, I mean, 3 of them, but he'll be able to bring up Quad D there after the battle is over, since he does have that life 2 on that White Mage. Nightmare Phoenix heading his way towards Lich's room. That we know is over here on the left side of this C-split. And Rock Solid finally putting the pieces together. Gonna get that key. Gonna finally get in the air here at just over the 50-minute mark. And I know he's got to feel behind, but at least he has done all the exploration you can possibly do, without an air.
Yeah, I know. Entrance floor shuffle is kind of one of those ones that's a little harder to kind of gauge where you are when you get a floater, just because if you miss the floater for as long as you have, you feel behind, but then you think about it's like I've done a lot of exploration in the meantime, so it's just like I pretty much know everything in the southern hemisphere now, even a lot of the things in the northern hemisphere. He just has to go find fiends, as well as the waterfall and to go get his loot. But that's not really going to take him too long to do without airship.
Yeah, he'll be fine because he's already got all of that put together. Like he's got the bottle. He just needs to go, like you said, get the loot out of Gaia, and then needs to find these other two fiends, which we know one of them is at least at Sardas, and the other one Sardas and Tiamat. I know Clementitas was there. I just don't remember where it was. And Nightmare Phoenix lighting up his Earth orb as Chad goes on ahead and goes mano a mano Kraken again, and Kraken goes down this time. It's amazing what happens when you have a full party and a Black Mage with 1 HP.
Things typically go a lot better, but Tia was the Cardia Force, the bottom split with Marsh. So Clementitas is going to do that other split. For the C split, he's going to find Lich, so he's only going to be finding Kraken from technically, go mode at that point. He's probably going to want some equipment though before he does that.
Yeah, rock solid there. Got to be upset about this, but we know that he has not behind on orbs, and he's like done all that exploration at the key. So if he can potentially find a good grind right now with all these key items, he can be in punching a bunch of fiends down mode and into Topher in the next not too long. Where
mention that they haven't checked for a grind tile, it would be a really good place to check right now.
Yeah, Topher locked.
Yep.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing as he blew right past Topher, but I understand he wants to get in the air. Clementitas getting his ribbon from Astos. So we know that he needs to go to the left of the C split here, so he can go kill Lich and light up his third orb. We're just chugging along, and I want to go on ahead, and I kind of missed it earlier. It's been a while since they rated us, but SpeedGaming Portuguese rating us with 66 people about 5 minutes ago. Welcome. And we're doing Final Fantasy Randomizer. I know it's crazy what you're seeing on the screen. It looks like they're going into places, and they're not the places you think they are. We've got fully floor entrance shuffle going on. Towns are vanilla, but other than that, everything kind of crazy, topsy-turvy, turned upside down. And we got a solo fighter. What was that? What is this? What's the spike tile that I see here on Chad's side? Is that the Earth's?
Nope.
No, that was just on Sky 3. Whew. Got too excited there.
Although that was only a couple floors deep, so I don't know if it can get got to if it was off the hard resetter or not as well. Because if you can get to it, and it's not too long. Again, it's like when you're doing black belts, you kind of have to know the various ways you can find a grind.
Yeah. So it looks like Nightmare Phoenix got the key. He's got the key. I feel like he's had it for a while. Maybe got to turn in the maybe he forgot the Canaria Castle was either a place or he just forgot it was incentivized. One of those two. He hasn't quite made it over there yet. Miss it. And he has taken out Lich, and he is lighting up his Earth orb, and all of a sudden he's got 3 orbs lit. And does he know where Kraken is?
I don't think he does, because he came right back to Northern Continent to check everything here, but he doesn't have a lot left to check as far as location, so it wouldn't surprise me if the Titan's Tunnel West and Sard are kind of next on the I need to check these.
Yeah. Yeah, so Shad picking up that fast, getting magic spells here out of Crescent. And then, these guys need to go on ahead and step on the gas here, and let's and try to get all these fiends down. Nightmare Phoenix getting his defense sword from the Sleeping Prince. Clementitas. What was here? It was the Adamant, right?
Yes, it was.
And nobody's turned in the Adamant yet, correct?
No. Yeah, we've seen Dwarf Cave, but I believe that was on... I want to say that was on Nightmare Phoenix's side that we saw Dwarf Cave, and he doesn't have Adamant yet. Let's see. I'm going to go check our lovely notes from Danny
Probably a good idea.
I am not seeing anything on there for the turn-in. So I know Danny and how good she does at tracking, so I'm pretty sure we have not seen that turn-in yet.
Yeah. Yeah, and it looks like Shad did get the chime from somewhere. Of course, the chime housed our just a Cardia treasure that didn't really have much of anything going on. So, what's going on here? What are we missing? We're not really missing anything. We just need some dead fiends and heading to Topher. Rock Solid and Nightmare Phoenix, of course, still need those levels that we were talking about. And it looks like Clementitas is going to turn into this Adamant, and it is the tail. So that's actually good news for Clementitas because Bahamut's like right next to here. I think Bahamut's in that Cardia Grassy, if I remember correctly.
Which I don't think he's checked, so he's just going to stumble upon Bahamut.
Yeah, that's going to...
Like, hey, cool, I'm going to promote.
Yeah, he's like, oh, sweet. Rock Solid keeps on going down this dungeon here, getting through these two splits that we know lead to Kraken. We know that from Shad's experience. Just got to get through this armory floor. He's going to probably check these two, or at least this one spike tower, because he should have checked the other one when he was on the Agama floor a while ago. Is this going to be something? I mean, he could grind Grimps. Might take him a little while.
Yeah, I mean, usually it's pretty safe, I would think, too, unless they get a spell script, but, you know.
Twin Instrumental in chat here, providing all the Final Fantasy Randomizer tunes that we hear before RPG Limit Break and Randomania races. Amazing drummer. Putting all that music together, doing good stuff. Good to have you, chat, as we watch these newer players participate in what we like to call the Duckling Derby. 31 runners tonight, right?
Yes, 31.
Yeah, all these guys been in the community under 6 months, or close, most of them under 3 months, and they're just duking it out to see who will be crowned at the Duckling. That is a lot of ducks.
And just kind of a quick recap as far as kind of what's going on. The main things we're really looking for, it kind of depends on which half of the screen you're looking at. You know, we're trying to look at both halves of the screen, but on the left side, main thing we're kind of looking for, Nightmare Phoenix needs a couple more key items and some information as well as where the fiends are. Same thing with Rock Solid. They also still need to kind of find a grind or some way to get that black belt to levels. Clementitas needs to find Kraken and probably some equipment. I believe his weapon right now is that Oracle -3, which isn't the worst weapon in the world, but we also don't have Temper. And if Temper rolled anywhere, let's see, I'm still not seeing it on our notes. So Temper rolled at least 7 or 8, so that's not something you really want to see on a Warple, unless you've heard Power Walk.
And Clementitas finally seen our last bottom of a dungeon. Of course, it was Marsh 3, and this has got to be the Masamune, or at least the TNT that leads to the Masamune. It's the only thing we haven't seen.
Have we seen them turn?
We haven't seen the crystal turn in.
We've seen the crystal because we've got both Rock Solid and Shad. So, I think it's got to be one of those locations. We haven't seen the slab either, so it's very possible one of these turn into slab, which then turns into that.
Yeah, and because we've seen the defense sword. What else is out there? The bonk? Is that the ribbon? We've seen the ribbon.
Yep, just defense, Masamune, and ribbon are the only incentivized items. So
yeah, I think somebody had to have turned the crystal in because somebody has the chime, and we hadn't seen the chime on any of the other characters yet. So this TNT is going to lead to the slab, which is going to lead to the Masamune.
I'd almost err on the side of caution and say that the crystal might have turned into the chime, just because the only person that has the chime is somebody with the crystal.
Yeah, that's my guess as well. So Clementitas making his way down here. He's going to finally light up his 4th orb because we know past this rod lock, it's the cube locked and then Kraken. But if you look over on Solid side, he is going full on Brackstrats here against Kraken 1, trying to light up his 3rd orb.
which hopefully
Brack coming out.
That black belt's not really doing the damage you need right now to Kraken, and right now Kraken's just, I'm gonna just slowly
yeah, that's gonna be it. Yeah, he's gonna have to be really lucky. I don't think Kraken had like a ton of HP, but he needs to get some crits off on that black belt. And because I don't think that black belt's going to take another hit from Kraken. Luckily, Kraken throwing out the fire twos now. Kraken does attack the big old smack for 507, takes him down, but he knows he needs to take Kraken down. Needs to get better orange, his Brax off, and hopefully light up a orb here. Clementitas just ahead of him in the same dungeon, trying to light up his fourth orb. And Nightmare Phoenix trying to get this Oxyel out of here so he can get his bottle. Burt Reynolds in chat hanging out with us, wondering what did he miss? I'll go on ahead and let you the whole recap. Just tell us where everything is.
Yes, the biggest item, yes, if you want to get down to it, which a lot of our runners, I wouldn't say they last located or anything like that, but it took them a while to get to. We had a key in Provoca, but it costed about 22 to 23,000 gold. That led to the Canaria locked chest, which was at Dwarf Cave, which gave us the floater. So I believe the first time we saw somebody in there was around the 35 to 40 minute mark, all the way up until almost an hour.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's been a pretty nice seed. Outside of the fact that, fast roll level 6, which isn't the worst in the world, that's going to roll high. That's the two you kind of want to see, that if it's going to roll somewhat high, that it's fast. And we haven't seen Temper. We haven't seen any level 7 or 8 magic shops, though. But Temper's got to be somewhere there, so that's kind of the worst one.
Right, Shad finding Lich down at the bottom of that Ordeal's split dungeon. Looks like he's going to try to take him on. Shouldn't have any issues with this 3-man that he's been running for quite a while now. It looks like he's left that Black Mage down for quite a bit. And
sadly out of nuke charges, so can't do it like that, but is going to try to feed Lich some cake.
Yeah, I don't blame that strategy. He shouldn't have too many issues here. Nightmare Phoenix is going to find Sarda, get the bottle. Obviously, bottle not necessary right now. He really needs to take that key he's had for a while and go to Dwarf Cave so he can check Canaria locked and finally get the floater and be in the air. But that bottle, at least we know, leads to go mode because it leads to the loot. Blink and you miss it, and Shad lights up his third orb. And these guys are just, most of them just one orb away here as Rock Solid's trying to make his way to Kraken. Clementitas also trying to make his way to Kraken. And we know that Shad just needs to go to Sarda's Cave to get to Tia. Is that where Tia was? No, Forest. Cardia Forest.
Cardia, and then it's the bottom marsh split, which probably looks like that's next on Shad's list because he's going towards Cardia, and that would be the closest entrance. And yep, that's where we're stopping.
Clementitas moving it along here. Rock Solid going to try to take on Kraken 1 again. Hopefully the Brack RNG a little bit better than it was the first time around. Doesn't have the block to kind of soak up the damage from the Kraken. That's 2 Bracks takes him down this time, so that's at least good. Going to light up his third orb here and keep it moving as Nightmare Phoenix is just kind of sailing around the world. And blink and you miss it, and Clementitas also lighting up his fourth orb. And I don't know, level 20, you think he's ready? Or do you think he's going to try to hunt down that Masamune?
I would say he's going to try to look for the Masa, just because level 20, you're really kind of at that point hoping for a really, really easy Topher. But the fact that you're swinging, I think your best weapon right now on that night is either going to be the Vorpal -3 or the Light Axe +3 with no temper. That's not what you want for your primary damage.
Yeah, it looks like that's exactly what he's doing. And we already know that this slab is what's going to turn into the Masamune here. He's just got to put it all together, head over to Melman, get the slab translated, and then head to Lefane and talk to the Lefanish to get that most powerful sword.
And normally you don't see this, but it's not a terrible thing. You've got some nice sweepers with nuke. You've got all 4 orbs at this point. You get the Masa. You still need some levels probably, unless you really want to gamble on Topher being easy. But you could always just go into the Temple of Fiends Revisited and start taking random encounters. They're all worth a lot of experience.
Very true. The only thing I noticed, based on his tracker anyway, oh no, never mind. He does have the Adamant. It looked like it wasn't lit up, so I wasn't sure if he had the Adamant or not, which we know led to the ribbon. So, but it does look like he was able to pick up that ribbon from the Adamant turn-in. So at least he has a ribbon going into Topher. The one thing I'd hate for Clementitis at this point is to not have that ribbon. And looks like Nightmare Phoenix finally making it back to Canaria locked and is going to get his floater at just over the hour mark, 6 minutes. Looks like Rock Solid is trying to turn in this crystal now to get his chime, because I think that's where this dungeon went to, was Matoya's cave.
Yes, that's correct. And there is the Masamune, which we'll say you kind of see all the little lovely numbers that are plus or minus on the weapons. Some of them didn't have a number. The Masa, that's called Blurst Weapons or Armor. We did exclude the Masa on this, so it was guaranteed to roll neutral, so that we had that kind of viable endgame weapon, so you don't get a Masa that rolls -5. Since we're, like we kind of stated when we were going over the Duckling Derby, we try to tailor the flags a little bit more on the easier side for the Duckling.
Yeah. So right now, Nightmare Phoenix gonna try to take on Carrie again, light up that fire orb. Rock Solid checking these chests. He needs to find Tiamat is what needs to happen. And yeah, Clementina's feeling good about himself. Is going to go on ahead and head into Topher at level 20. I mean, it's definitely doable. I've seen it before in the past at spring tournaments long past. People clearing Topher out at level 20, 21 with this particular scaling. He shouldn't have an issue as long as he has that to afford at least 1 ribbon. And only thing, like I said, we're kind of missing here is that temper charge. But he's at least got fast on that black belt or black mage.
Yeah, and your biggest concern really going in here, and it's the reason why it's kind of like 24 is typically that level where you see people start to go in. It's usually when most of your light warriors, with the exception of the black mage, hit that like mid 300s for their HP. So unless you get a really high rolling like nuke, it's not going to kill your light warriors. Whereas right now we're looking at that 300, low 300s, black belts, or the black mage is barely above 200. A nuke very well could almost full wipe your group without even any effort.
Yeah, and it looks like Nightmare Phoenix kills Carrie. I don't know if he has... No, he doesn't have any camping gear. And so he gets the kill on Carrie, but I don't think he can save his game yet. And he is stun locked. This is not good. This is not good for Nightmare Phoenix. He is stun locked from ogres, and he takes a wipe after killing Carrie. Go back in and do it again.
That hurts.
Yeah, that's the kind that would tilt me to the point that I'd probably turn off the game and just call it a day.
I mean, thankfully Carrie's not too deep, but yeah, hopefully maybe some better RNG on Carrie so you have more of your light warriors up, or at least the white mage, where you can resurrect people. Shad does get the tail, so can go promote, which we're right next to that.
And I got my things mixed up. I guess the Adamant turned into the tail, but there was also a free ribbon in there. So we've seen all 3 ribbons right now. So that's pretty awesome. Clementine is pulling up Lich here. Lich 1 significantly less crazy than his, Lich 2 significantly less crazy in the randomizer than his counterpart is in the vanilla game. Gonna open up with a Lit 2. Not too crazy, doing Lit 2 things. Nightmare Phoenix gonna try to light up that fire orb again on your left side. Let's keep an eye on this Lich battle here. As more attacks, harmed nukes are gonna come out. Lich probably not long for this world as he Goes down to that second nuke, and now we're already level 22. So getting those levels as he's coming down, coming through this Topher.
Yeah, the worst part about seeing Lit 2 on Lich 2 is the fact that you saw Lit 2 on Lich 2. That's something you'd rather hopefully see on like Kraken, Chaos, Tia 2. But yeah, that Lich also had a decent amount of HP too. I think was closer to the cap of 200, because saw it take, I think, 600 or 700 damage before that 300 nuke rolled around and took it out.
Yeah. All right, and so we got Carry 2 pulled up here on Clementitas' screen here. Looks like we got some nukes, more nuke strats, which I do like, especially if you're trying to preserve those fast charges for the later fiends. We know that Fast was level 6, and and here comes Nuke out of Carry, and they all high roll. Every single nuke goes out just higher than 330. Entire party down, and that is unfortunate. That's the kind of stuff where you need maybe a couple more levels so that doesn't happen, but he's going right back in, and he's going to try to get his levels again kind of on the way down.
Honestly, part of that's also going to be like praying to RNG, because did you see what Carry 2 opened with?
Yes.
The nuclear, so it's skill 1 is nuclear, spell 1 is nuke. So it does that combination, that the Black Mage or the Black Wizard's dead. Like, there's no way the Black Wizard's surviving unless it resists both and it low rolls on top of that. Your White Mage and your Red Wizard, they may survive. Kind of the same thing with the Knight, because you're looking at potentially anywhere from 400 to 720 points of damage if you don't resist.
Yep. All right, so Nightmare Phoenix in the air, turning in his bottle, getting his sitar from the ferry underwater, putting himself in go mode. He's got to find Tiamat and Kraken so he can go on ahead and do this whole Temple of Fiends thing. Clementitas getting some business out of the Shad. We completely missed it. Has already lit up all 4 of his orbs, and he's gonna have a little bit of a better level situation because he is running that 3-man party versus a 4-man party. So interested to see what he does here as he lights up his 4th orb. I don't think he's got the Oxial loot thing figured out, but that shouldn't take him too long since we know Water here, and Sarda has the bottle, and he's in the Onrak dungeon. So I imagine he'll be in Topher here in just a few minutes, as Nightmare Phoenix and Rock Solid just still trying to put all the pieces together. Rock Solid heading up towards Tiamat right now. Gonna obviously go with the same strats that killed Kraken earlier and throw a bunch of backs out there. Broken into pieces. Rock Solid lighting up his 4th orb, but he doesn't have his black belt ground at all. What happened there?
I'm not sure what happened there. I know the other thing we're kind of missing.
Oh no, he didn't. Oh no, his file corrupted. Oh my, what happened? Like, oh, I know what he did. He must have done a save state or something, and then like loaded that save.
Oh no, yeah.
I've done that before. I did that on a Chaos battle back when we still did SRL. I was typing out my .done, and I had accidentally hit the thing that loaded up a save, and I was on Chaos, so it loaded back to like the very beginning of the game, and so I had to take the forfeit there. And I'm assuming that's what happened. Is Rock Solid 84 is in chat with us now with the big sad face. He's gonna probably let us know what ended up happening there, but that's what I'm gonna have to assume.
Yeah,
that's unfortunate.
Took a look at the race time to see what happened, and he did forfeit, which I don't blame him for that. You lost basically all of your progress at that point, so
Yeah, Rock Solid was doing great work there. I noticed the forfeit 10 minutes ago, but I was interested to see what actually caused it. And man, that's a total bummer.
Yeah, definitely. He's in chat, like we said. Give him GGs though. He was doing good. You know, accidents like that with technology, they happen. It's sad when it does happen, especially when we see it on Restream. But everybody give him some GGs.
There for Rock Solid. He, like I said, just a grind and a loot away from being in Topher right behind Clementitas here. Shad's again putting the pieces together. Got his Oxio. We know the Oxio leads to the bottle, which leads to the floater. Nightmare Phoenix picks up a power bonk out of the free chest in this C hallway. So, and he's still got a lot of. He doesn't really have a lot of the puzzle he needs to put together because he doesn't really need the things that he doesn't have. He just needs to find Kraken and he needs to find Kraken and Tia and get that black belt round up.
Yep, that's all he needs left.
Clementitas threw carry this time, so got through that nuclear nuke combo there. Combo wombo as he keeps it moving. Gonna go on ahead and heal up, look at everything, make sure everything's in the proper places. Might have moved the knight down level, the levels he's currently at, trying to look at what he wants to do. He's gonna power bonk, gonna nuke it up, gonna use one of his 3 fasts, and probably white shirt. Yep, there it goes. So white shirt does come out, gives a little bit of that evasion. Fast is gonna come out, power bonk, order here. As a nuke comes flying out for only 52, and there goes his red mage. Better the red mage than his fighter, that's for sure. As more nuke casts coming out, gonna switch to invis. Yeah, that's fine. It's Bane comes out, takes out the fighter. Things have gotten scary now. As that's what happens when you have 0 ribbons. Don't think he has.
Yeah, I think this is when you start throwing your nukes and fades and you just pray that Kraken dies before you do. And those are some good rolls, so.
He's down to that. Last fade too. But this could potentially do it. If the fade does it. 220. He is down to his white mage and he's got that life 2 at level 3. He's going to bring everybody back to life. That is a clutch play right there.
Yeah, the worst part is the fact that, you don't have any more Cure 4 charges for the Tia 2 and Chaos, but you'll take that over a wipe, because worst case, you take a wipe on Tia 2, you at least get some information, maybe like, okay, maybe I need another level or a few levels, maybe I need some more equipment, or I need something at this point.
Yeah, and he had that ribbon on that black mage. I mean, I didn't notice if he also had the second ribbon, the incentive one on his white mage there. But yeah, at least he had a ribbon, but unfortunately he didn't have it on that night. But it didn't really matter as Crack comes out. Crack kills, as you know, but luckily everybody was, went to dare and resisted all that crack coming out of there. Trying to think about what he wants to do here against this Tia map.
Yeah, there's not too many options really with, you use a lot of your spell charge. And that's kind of one of the things when you go here and near a low level, you have a lot less spell charge than you normally do. You go through them potentially fairly quickly, especially when you have to rely on nuke stress to get through Kraken too.
And yeah, he really has nothing. He's got 1 fast charge left on black mage that he's going to use against Chaos. Like you said before, he doesn't really have much on his white mage. All the fade charge. So he's just going to heal 3, attack. He's got the power bonk. I don't know if he ever went back to get the defense sword when he found it earlier. Brat takes it down. What is this RNG out of Clementitas? First off, kills Kraken with 1 white mage left, and then lands a 3 and 256 Brack on Tia 2. This is insanity.
Yeah, you don't see that very often. Usually you're on the receiving end of that with, hey, I've got ribbons equipped to my entire party. Zap's not going to kill anybody. Hey, my knight just died to Zap.
Yeah. So it looks like he's moving everything around, making sure he gets the ribbon on that fighter. I like that play. maybe we'll see if he has the defense sword on that fighter, because that would be it. If he has the defense sword and he has the power bomb and he has a ribbon, he should be good to go if the rest of his party takes a wipe here. But we've got Chaos pulled up on the big screen here. Fast coming out. Lit 3.
I would almost say with the way with the way RNG's going right now, I'd almost be tempted to just use the Brack just because at this point.
Yeah. Looks like also trying to do a Bridge of Destiny grind. Try to get that black belt some levels. Stop comes out. Pretty much misses everybody that has a ribbon. 6 hits for 281. That's not a lot, especially with that fasted knight. Might want to throw out a power bomb. It looks like that's exactly what he's doing. Lit 3 coming out, doing no damage. There's ribbon casters, but a lot of damage, but not ribbon wearers. Keeps the buffs coming. More white shirts, more Lit 3, more power bomb. Getting himself prepared to start beating up on Chaos. 2 hits, 2 damage out of that red mage. Getting that evasion. Nuke comes out. It's going to wipe out pretty much everybody except the fighter. Each down to the one fighter. 7 hits, 585.
Whole day.
9 hits, some damage. Rub bounces off. Another rub bounces off. 5 hits, 222. Fire 2 does Fire 2 things. 7 hits, 562. Clementitas does it. Wow, that is a that is a butt clenching Topher that Clementitas went through. 87 hit points left on that fighter with an official race down. That's what I call it. Race time, GG time of. Heck is it? Where are you, Clementitas? I saw you finish
10th place with an official time of 1 hour, 22 minutes, and 20 seconds.
That's what we got going on there. So 1 hour, 22, 20 seconds. 10th place finish there. I know first place on for us, but we had quite a few ducklings out there, 31 total. Dead Pulse was our first place finisher. Fry Teeth second. Spoiler alert. And Rob Draven coming out of nowhere with a third place finish. So GG to those guys. We'll Clementitas here in just a moment to talk about that Topher run. I gotta talk to him about that because that was crazy. But while we wait on him, let's go on ahead and look at Chad, who's also in Topher right now, heading over to try to pull that Lich 2 here in just a little bit. Yeah, Dwight telling me in chat back on Tier 2 was a 6. I thought it was that 2 and good lord, 3 and 256. It only goes up when you hit the expert, but I could be wrong about that.
It's still a very low percent chance. That's kind of one of those. You're throwing a Hail Mary out just because you have nothing left and hope it works, and that's kind of what happens. Like, hey, cool, I get to get through this fight a little bit faster.
Pretty much. So yeah, Shad pulling up Lich 2 here. Gonna Zeus Gauntlet attack with that Masa. Big ol' hit, 5 hits, 500 damage. Black Shirt and Zeus Gauntlet are just chip damage here, trying to save some of those resources.
Yeah,
Lich rolling kind of. Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say it's one of those things when you're running a 3-man party, you have less resources, so you have to be a lot more mindful of what you're spending on the early fights, like Lich 2 and Carry 2.
I'm gonna go on ahead and shoot a message to Clem to see if he's gonna join us. So go ahead and call the action. All right, so we know Carrie is coming up next here. This Carrie 2 battle. Saw what Carrie had, which was pretty scary stuff. Opens up with nuclear, depending on whether she decides she wants to do skills or spells. But he's going to start off with a nuke. Nuke comes out. Nuke, go 1 HP left on the white mage.
The white mage hangs on by a thread.
Yeah, that kind of rocked him a little bit. Lit 2's going to take him out. He's going to have to reset out of this. But he's going to be able to mode this. That was just bad turn order, you know. If that heal 3 came out, that Lit 2 was nothing. And look at who we have here in chat. Clementitas, how's it going?
Hey guys, what's up?
Going, man. Tell us about that Topher. Holy moly. We saw all kinds of ups and downs out of that.
I wasn't expecting to make it through with my white mage against, I think it was Kraken, or I might be getting my Tia fights mixed up, but yeah, like my white mage was the only one standing, and she had like only one more charge of fade, and I think I was able to pop it off and was able to resurrect everyone else with life 2. And then I think with the Tiamat, like I just got desperate and was able to brack him. Yeah,
well, go over to Chad's screen here. Tried to make a valiant effort through that Topher, but unfortunately, Unrunnable Water stopped his his dive, and I guess Rock Solid's also. Yeah, Rock Solid's and join here first. I guess he'll a little bit if he wants to talk about exactly what happened to cause him to forfeit. We noticed that he all of a sudden lost all his levels. So what my assumption might be different than what actually happened, but he's in the booth with us right now. Rock Solid, GG's.
Hey, thanks, Pegley. GG's.
So before we continue on with Clementitas about his amazing miraculous dive, what exactly happened over on your screen? We noticed that you had lit up your 4th orb, and then all of a sudden you were on level 9.
Yeah, what happened was I realized that my timer had gotten paused, and I was trying to get it restarted. My timer's bound to the 1 key on my keyboard, and I must have hit the save quick load in BizHawk, and it loaded up the save state in slot 1, so there was no way to come back. I tried resetting, but it seemed like I must have saved the state a long time ago, and so I was just completely donezoed, and I went through and I just unbound, just a second ago, I unbound everything in BizHawk, so that never happens again.
Yeah, I did the exact, I think you were probably already in chat when I called it that exact same thing during a weekly like years ago. And the second the race was over, I went, and this was when I was still using, I guess the other NES emulator. I went through and completely all keys for that exact same reason. I was like, I am not doing that again, and that's definitely not happening. So, well, I appreciate you running the race. It looked like you were doing pretty good. Like I said, about to light up or just lit up that 4th orb. Was just looking to get that black belt ground up. Did you see anything during your run that you could have potentially gotten some levels on before heading into Topher?
Yeah, my first choice probably would have been the iron goals on the vampire floor in the trap tile that's usually a fire. I actually did grind them a little bit earlier, but lost the grind to Kraken my first time through. And I was thinking, well, it's close to the top. It's not the best grind. I would rather something like Red Dragons or Eyes. There was also a Frost Giant, Frost Wolf tile in Earth, but it took a little while to get to that one just because of where it was. I was hurting for grinds. Really, that was slowing me down the whole run. I didn't have any levels on my black belt, and he kept getting killed, and I didn't have life.
Yeah, that was the one thing talking about, not having that life too, because you didn't have the white mage was definitely hurting you a little bit. I want you to know now, before we move on to Clementitas about his Topher, that you were not the only person waited forever to pick up the key and get that floater that was just hanging out over there. I think Clementitas, I think Shad was actually the first one to do it, but he was at nearly the 30-minute mark. So yeah, I mean, it took everybody kind of a while to get that money together to pick up that key to finally get that floater. But who would have thought? Why would the floater be there? There's so much.
Yeah, that's just it. I mean, I'm there thinking probably like everybody, well, I'll just go back and buy the key once I get my airship. But can't get the airship if the key's gating the floater.
That's true. Clementitas. So yeah, Carrie opens up with nuclear. Yeah, wipe out. You got to go. So yeah, second time through, you got Kraken. Everyone's dying. How you feeling when you got that white mage, that one solo fade charge left?
I mean, I was fully expecting to wipe and then start all over, and then like my heart just like skipped a beat when I saw her just like bust out and just like eliminate him. It was so exciting, so exciting.
Yeah, and I think at that point, Kraken had only done like a bunch of lit twos or something. So like you had gotten a couple of before that last fade had come out. Then you go up against Tiamat, and you land a Brack. I couldn't even believe it.
I was so desperate for that, and like again, like I wasn't expecting to get that lucky twice in a row, but I'm glad I did.
It was crazy, and then you're down to Chaos, down to your solo fighter, 87 hit points left, and you take him down. I know that had to have been just like your nerves were just pumping that whole like last 3 or 4 minutes of that race.
My heart is still pumping, bro, to be honest. It's so exciting.
So, how do you feel about this? You've been having fun so far?
Well, honestly, I was feeling dubious about this seed because all of this week I just couldn't get a decent rundown, and then I guess because I was doing so poorly in the other 2 Duck Derby races, I got out of my system, and since I was doing so poor this week, it was my time to shine this time around.
Yeah. Hey, you were a first place finisher on stream, 10th place overall. Always good to be in the top third, in my opinion. And Shad taking down Kraken 2. So we're just down to more fiends. Nightmare Phoenix trying to light up his 4th orb. We got some iron goals on screen. Got to run away from that. Don't need to mess around with them. Sorcerers.
Not running from these because they're not letting you.
Not at all. And we're going to have dual fiend fights here. Nightmare Phoenix is going to probably try to brack down this Kraken here. No, he's going to go full-on attack mode. And I don't think his black belt is much higher than level 20.
I want to say 20. It might be at the break point for 21, but if it is, it's not much further than that.
Yeah, going with the Zeus Gauntlet. You must not know that the Brack... again, this is a tournament for relatively new runners, so probably just doesn't realize that Brack is probably the best way to go if you can't dish out the damage quickly. We're going to go on ahead and focus on Shad here. Shad, thinking about what he wants to do. We got white shirts. We got Brack. We got 6% Bracks coming out there. I'm not sure I would have been able to handle if another Brack had landed. And Tiamat with some sort of touch attack completely wipes out that quad deep there in the first slot.
Looks like poison touch.
Yeah.
It would have surprised. Kraken 1 had that too.
Yeah, but Nuke Cast taking down Kraken, lighting up his 4th orb, but man, no levels on black belt. Gonna have to find a way to get that black belt 20 to somewhere else. More attacks coming out here as Tiamat showing us what she's all about here. We never got to see much out of Tiamat thanks to that perfectly timed Brack, but it looks like takes her down. We're just down to Chaos here. We know Chaos had a nuke in either the 3rd or 4th spell. Then it was a couple of rubs after that. So didn't see much all. Just needs to get a fast charge and maybe a couple of power bonks and should be good to go with his party. That pulls up that last fiend. Gonna go with lock strats. I like it. Don't have temper. You may as well throw some locks out. White shirt. Power bonk. Getting that evasion up. Getting his evasion down. Stop. That was the first spell. Gonna land on poor quad D there. Doesn't matter though, because he got his lockout, did his job. Gonna do more lock. Gonna do more white shirt. Gonna attack. We're gonna see what we're gonna do here with this damage roll. Evasion down. Lit 3 takes out Quad D. We know Nuke is coming up either next or after this one. Getting all those hits off, doing something, but yeah, I mean, this Chaos is kind of beefy. And that was like 13 hits for... Didn't seem like it was a lot of damage.
I thought I saw like 10 for like 700-800 there.
Oh, is that what that was? I'm clearly blind, so maybe it was a lot of damage. Another big old hit, 10 for 652. Nuke coming out. We know Nuke's coming out of Chaos here soon if you kill Chaos with this round of combat. Here it comes. Gonna take out everybody but Quad A. Quad A, big old hit, 10 hits, 770. Chad with an official Race Town GG time of 1 hour 35:51. Official 18th place finish. GG's to Shad the Shade. We're going to go on ahead and see if we can get him pulled in here in just a moment. While we focus on Nightmare Phoenix's dive into Topher. So yeah, early game. We got what do we have? We had an ice cave that was super deep and a Topher, right? Got the adamant out of there, which we know turned into the tail, which wasn't really useful to Rock Solid, but it ended up being okay for Clementitas. I'll start with Rock Solid. Talk about your early game.
Yeah, well, I'll start there with the Ice Cave decision. I actually did Volcano and made the call not to go in there because I needed to pick my black belt back up, and I didn't have enough save items to really spam my way all the way up to Ice Cave and get back down. So I left, and the whole time at the back of my mind, I was thinking, I bet the floater's up there. I bet the floater's up there. So it sounds like I ended up making a good call with that because I didn't need the tail. Had pretty much all the spells I really needed. But basically, my early game was the story of, poverty. Like, I kept running into places where I needed to buy spells or I needed to buy save items. I kept, running out of those, and I was just burning all my money right back to the bottom. I couldn't find a grind. I couldn't find any good fights to get that money and that experience that I needed. And I felt like I was proceeding slowly as a result.
Yeah. I mean, even though you weren't the last runner on stream to get in the air, but you had done so much clearing at that point that you were in pretty good shape once you finally got in the air. Clementitas, your opening, that beginning, tell us about it.
Like my beginning, at the very beginning, I was like very nervous. So like I was very indecisive of where I want to go. And very much like Rock Solid, I too had like a hard time coming across money and experience. Like I don't even think I looked at my level 3 or 4 magic until I left the inner sea. That's just because I was trying to find some sort of money. And I feel as though I could have found like some early game treasure. I could have like got some spells earlier, and the first 30 minutes of my run would have been much more smooth.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, GG's to both of you guys. You guys, obviously did great. Clementitas, it was a good run for you. Hopefully we can get Shad in here and talk a little bit about his. Rock Solid, I'm sure you'll come back next week now that you've unbound all those keys.
Yeah.
And hopefully won't have any of those issues there. We got Nightmare Phoenix on Lich 2's floor. Again, that black belt only level 21, I think. Without temper, he's going to have a tough time through this.
Did he find the power bunk, do you know?
I'm pretty sure he did. The power bunk was free, practically free anyway, because it was in that sea hall room.
I'm pretty sure he found the power bunk. I think the big issue he's going to have is these were his last nuke charges, so he's going to be completely relying on that black belt now.
Yeah, but it looks like he's level 23, so at least he finally... Oh, okay, so he leaves with the levels. That's a heads-up play. At least he's not going to lose those levels. And he knew he probably couldn't make it through the rest of Topher. May as well go on. You would never really see that many people do that, but I like the play just to keep the levels instead of wiping out and having to do all that all over again.
Yeah, I mean, it's not something that's thought about too often, the fact that if you can get into Topher and you have like warps or exits to leave, you have to be careful not to let those casters die, but it's a really good place. Pretty much every single encounter you get here is high experience. Granted, they can be very dangerous, but you're going to get a lot of experience for taking these fights.
Yeah, and at this point, he needs the levels. The only thing that's like going to really stop him is the fact that the encounter table or the encounter rate is so low. So, you know, where in the vanilla game, you're going to have 8 encounters per 256 steps on this particular floor that he's currently on. We have half of that. So he's going to get half as many encounters, half as many chances to really get some levels on his party if this is his plan. If his plan is to kind of do a walk, you know, a grind and Topher, especially since, again, we didn't really see a great grind tile. Rock Solid said he saw Iron Gulls, but yeah. But yeah, I mean, at this point, it looks like Link's going to have to leave me here soon, huh?
No. So I'm actually in like the race room, and the co-op is after this. So that's not happening until this is done anyways. So they gave us the same channel.
What time is that?
They didn't. So it's scheduled to start at 11, but we haven't, unless there's something, we haven't been given a time when we're supposed to end. Like, we told SG that technically until the Duck Derby's not finished and I'm commentating, that we can't do the tag team championship after this. So I don't know how long they're giving us or how long we're waiting, up until the point where we kind of cut this broadcast. That's probably something we want to check with SpeedGaming, or Danny might be able to check on that as well if she's got that information, because I know she's usually doing all the broadcasting information behind the scenes. Okay, well, she's saying we can call it whenever we need to. So,
well, definitely don't want to hold up the race on SG. So we'll watch a little bit more of this, see how far Nightmare Phoenix gets into this Topher dive. But I'm thinking we'll give him at least one more go through of here before we decide to let you guys have your race. So yes, coming up on Speed Gaming right after this race, we are going to have our tag team championship match. It's going to be my co-com Sir Link-A-Lot and his partner Thunder-A-Lot taking on the #1 contenders of Luffy and Fizzlebeef, or Lorfin as he likes to call himself. That's going to be happening right after this. Of course, on Thursday night at 10:30, we'll have our Speed Gaming weekly race. And then Thursday night, or no, sorry, not Thursday night, but of course, next Monday night, we will have the finale of our Duckling Derby. So yeah, that's pretty much all we got as far as the schedule is concerned.
I know when the Duck Derby comes up, we try to have like the least amount of stuff going on, because we really want to give the Ducklings their time in the spotlight. This is their time. It's not time for anybody else in the community, really.
Yeah. So I think, I'm going to have to agree with you there. Normally, in any other sort of race situation, we would go on ahead and maybe give Speed Gaming their channel back. I'm going to go on ahead and talk to have you talked to your partner and your who you guys are up against, and let them know what's going on here?
I can, if you want to continue talking, so we can kind of figure out if that's what we want to do, because I'm going to want to get up and stretch for a few minutes at the very least before we start. All
right, so it looks like Nuke comes out of carry here, does some massive damage. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to really make anything happen outside of this. But he did get a pretty good hit off, but unfortunately that black belt is down. He's just down to his black mage. Lit2's going to take another wipe here. And Nightmare Phoenix is going to think about what he wants to do. Going to check this spike tile over here.
These are probably good grinds.
I mean, if I was here, I'd probably just take them. They have a lot of HP. Never mind. And looks like we got Shad. Shad, how's it going? I don't hear you, Shad, if you're talking. And Shad's gone.
He's in the setup room. I'm going to drag him in.
Okay. GG, Shad.
They're still not able to hear you, Shad, if you are talking.
Oh no, I wasn't hearing you at first.
Shad the Shade, how's it going?
It's fine. It was a hard race.
Yeah, it was a tough one. And I will say though, you were the first person in the air.
Oh yeah.
On our stream, yes. I know. I was going to say you probably didn't feel like it, but everyone decided that they were going to save that key until the absolute last thing they did.
Oh yeah, I spent all my money on Heal Pot at the start. That was not a great idea. Sometimes you get one of the cardio aisle at the start and you get some money, but this time I was left out with no money. That's what gave me the most trouble at the start. Once I got rolling, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you were the first in the air, and then from there it was really just getting into that waterfall location, getting the Oxyal, getting the bottle, turning in the bottle to get the loot, and then finding those last two fiends. Luckily, key items really didn't stop you guys from finishing the game. Like, you didn't need like the chime or something like that. Obviously, you needed the rod and the cube to get which one was it? Kraken that was behind that?
Yeah. Sometimes you get the two fork at the same. Sometimes you get the two luck in the same dungeon. That's fun.
Yeah. So that Topher, pretty crazy there. I saw that you were just down to that one fighter against Chaos. He wasn't messing around with that nuke.
Yeah. I was lucky it was the last hit. So, but I think I could have probably survived another nuke with that fighter.
Yeah.
Well, Carry gave me more trouble. Carry 2 nuked me, I think, at the first time, and I wiped just after.
Yeah, Carry with the nuke and nuclear, that was rough. I saw that you took you were down to just the fighter, and then you went down and then ran into those unrunnable waters and had to reset out of that one.
Yep. I don't think I could have even done single fighter to the end. So I was happy to wipe early on that one. And also, I think I wiped that Kraken the first time. I got down to not Kraken 2, but the Kraken, the first Kraken. I think I got down because of some mud golem. I got down to only my fighter, and I tried it. I tried to go deep, and that wasn't a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I know that a couple of you guys had some issues with the first Kraken. I know somebody, I think it was you, that had all those Bracks bounce off of them.
Did I try Brack? I don't think I tried Brack on it.
I wiped to Kraken after losing a lot of Brack.
That's what it was. I knew I saw somebody like throw like every Brack in the world and then nothing would happen. So, but yeah, since we do have the co-op race coming up later, and we can see 10 minutes into the future and know that Nightmare Phoenix still hasn't finished yet, we are going to go on ahead and give SpeedGaming their channel back so that the co-op championship match can happen. I'm going to let Phoenix know now that's what's happening here. So I'm going to go on ahead and grab some final thoughts from everybody before we wrap this thing up. Our first place on stream winner, Clemen Titus. Any final thoughts about the seed, about the Duckling Derby, about Final Fantasy Randomizer in general?
I really appreciate this community. Like I've only been playing since about December, and I just love how everyone's been so supportive and giving me pointers. And I think without you all, I probably wouldn't have done as well as I did tonight. Thank you all.
Awesome. Rock solid. I know you had some technical issues there. But any final thoughts about your run, the Duck Derby, Final Fantasy Randomizer, all that jazz?
Yeah, no, just similar feeling to Clementitis. It's obviously not fun to lose to technical difficulties like I did, but I mean, come on, this community, we're all here, as competitive as it is, and as much as we all want to go fast, everyone's having a good time, and people are super supportive. I was a bit nervous about going on streaming in the first place, and everybody, kind of got my back and said, you got this, Rock, and I appreciated that. So, I just wanted to say that I appreciate that, and I appreciate you guys putting us in the spotlight as we sort of amble our way through learning this game.
Yeah. All right, and well, never mind. Shad, any final thoughts about the Duck Derby and all that jazz?
Well, I wanted to thank you for the great organization of this tournament. This is really great. Helped me a lot. I tried to get into the community like 4 years ago, and I couldn't get into it. And this time I got right at the start of the boot camp, and that was the greatest tutorial I saw.
Yeah.
Thank you for the information.
So before we give I know this is kind of crazy. Nightmare Phoenix is still running his race, but we are going to go on ahead and try to get him in here since he did finish on the delay. So I just kind of want to get some final thoughts from him. I don't want him to feel like we kind of left him out, especially since this is for newer players and we want everybody to kind of have their time to talk about things. So I'm going to go pull him in here real quick, or see if he's interested in talking to us. Link, you got anything for us before I try to pull Nightmare Phoenix in?
No, I mean, it's fun to watch these because, I've only been a part of the community myself. It hasn't even been a year. It feels like it's been longer with how much I've been doing in the community. But it's been a fun community. It's been, I didn't know how I was going to feel about, watching the Ducklings rather than, playing, because I had so much fun with the Duckling Derby and the Duckling Boot Camp myself. But it's been, as far as me, it's been just as much fun, if not more, being a part of the team that was doing it and teaching all the Ducklings, doing the boot camps. I was looking forward to it just as much as I was when I was the one watching. Whereas I was the one either doing commentary, running it just to, be teaching everybody. And it's been a blast. So it is one of those things that no community that I know of really does. And it's like we take the new players, literally under our wings, if you want to say it, and kind of teach you to, I guess, how to beat the veterans.
Yeah. So we do have Nightmare Phoenix in here. Spoiler alert, he does finish this race, but again, we talked about how we're giving SpeedGaming their channel back so we can get the co-op race going. Nightmare Phoenix, GG.
Thank you.
Just real quick, we'll go over the run and then some final thoughts, and then we'll give SG their channel back. How did that beginning treat you?
Everything was kind of up in the air. Like everywhere I went, I thought I was getting closer, and I kind of sort of wasn't. And I finally found the floater, and I got stuck. I had gone to a couple places, and I just had to stop for 30 seconds and look over everything and really try to figure out where I was, because about halfway through my run, I stopped taking notes.
Oof.
Yeah.
That'll do it. They'll do it sometimes. Yeah, one of the main things I noticed is that you had a hard time finding a grind, as I noticed your black belt's only about level 26, 27 right now.
I've kind of spoiler alert, it doesn't get much higher. I didn't find a grind tile I was comfortable with. There was a couple that I probably could have, but last week I ended up taking a lot of time doing a grind and then dying shortly after several levels, and I didn't want to make that same mistake, so I wanted to be absolutely sure if there was a grind tile I could officially grind comfortably. I didn't find it. I snuck in a couple easy levels here and there, and then ultimately I decided that, you know what, this is it. It's go big or go home, and decided to just go for it. And yeah, we'll see how that goes. It went.
If it makes you feel any better, I too had a 30-second pause where I didn't know where to go, and I just completely forgot all about Sardia and the other side of Titan, and I was taking notes, so
Even bother looking at the other side of Titan. I'm like, where have I not been? Where do I need an airship to go? Sardia. Why didn't? So I flew there, went in, did the thing, and I'm like, this is everything I needed in life. And it was real quick after that. Just unfortunately, no good grinds for me.
Yeah. Well, GG on your run. Like I said, I hate to cut away from the last seconds of your race, but I'm glad we got to at least get you in here to talk to you about it. Any final thoughts?
Yeah.
Comments, concerns, thoughts about the Duckling Boot Camp and Derby and all that jazz?
I love it. The boot camp is great. It's a good way to get involved with an amazing community that is full of nothing but help and care for each other, and it's a camaraderie I didn't expect, and it's definitely something I'm very happy I got into.
No. That's awesome, man. Well, I'm really glad you joined us. I'm glad everybody joined us. Rock Solid, Nightmare Phoenix, Clementitas and Shadow racing here on SpeedGaming. Sir Link-A-Lot, my comms partner. Thank you, SpeedGaming, for having us. And make sure you check out the co-op race that is happening right after this. You guys have a wonderful evening. Good night, SpeedGaming crew.
good night, everyone.
Good night.